Good evening to all the brown girls, brown boys alike. Oh, hey, Sean. And everyone in between. Welcome to the Brown Girls in the Rain Book Club. We're your hosts, Sharanja and Anika, and today we're going to discuss Sulwe by Lupita Nyong'o,
By
illustrated
Lupita
by
Nyong'o and
Vashti
illustrated by Vashti Harrison.
Take it away, Sharanja.
So Sulwe is the story of a young girl who deals with colorism in her life. She has an older sister who's considerably lighter skinned than her, and they also
Oh,
go to the same
younger
school.
sister.
A younger sister, and she notices that her younger sister is very popular, and she gets to be called names like what is it, Ray,
Sunshine,
beautiful, sunshine,
Rain.
whereas with her classmates called Sulwe, like Blackie,
Darky, Night.
they treat her considerably different, and she takes it to heart. It has like a really negative effect on her self-esteem. So what she does throughout the story is she prays to God, asking for lighter skin. She does things where she tries to rub the darkness off of her skin, and it culminates to the extent that her mother needs to get involved and tell her, like, Solway, you're beautiful just the way you are. Like, you just have to find that beauty within yourself. And then there's like a story that happens within the story where
I was gonna
Solway,
say that. I like that it's a story within a story. It gives us a folklore story within it.
Yeah, it's a folklore story within it where a shooting star arrives in Sulway's bedroom at night and takes her on an adventure and pretty much tells her the story of night and day, where night and day are two sisters, where day is beloved by the people of Earth and Earth isn't. Day gets called names like beautiful, lovely, and then
nice, pretty,
and then night gets called scary, ugly. So
bad.
it gets to the point where just night just ups and leaves and walks away from Earth. And what happens after that is that the days get longer, and when the days get longer without night, what happens? Heat, people start to die, and so
People can't sleep.
can't sleep. And so the day goes off on a search for her sister, Night, and she pretty much says this, yes, like, you are not like me, but you are perfect just the way you are, and we need you just as you are. And this is important for Solway because she learns that there's beauty in different types of skin tones. She doesn't have to be lighter like her sister. She can be beautiful just on her own. And it's a story of
in both the day and the night.
Yeah. And it's just a story about finding that beauty within you. And I thought it was a beautiful read, beautifully illustrated. I think one of the things I liked the most was the illustration. Like,
yeah,
like, it's just gorgeous. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you can properly see it through the camera, but it's just beautifully illustrated.
It's very captivating. That's for
very
sure.
Captivating. I'm just like, this is such an important story for little girls of color to read. Because,
like, even if you take the cover, the thing off, even just that, it's pretty. It's basic, but it's nice.
Yeah. And it goes into the overall theme of the story too, where there's light in all of us. We just have to find it.
Day and night, both are needed. Such a great metaphor. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Growing up, I don't know any person of color who doesn't have a story about colorism. So seeing it in the form of a book aimed at little kids, it's really...
I don't have a story, not in this way. And I actually asked my mom before the stream, I'm like, do you feel like you identify with this or whatever? And she said no. I'm like, you don't feel like, at no point did you feel like, oh, you ever wanted to be lighter? She's like, no. But she said that, like, there's always going to be that problem where, like, darker skinned people want to be lighter, but she personally didn't feel like she wanted to be lighter because growing up, like everybody around her was dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if she doesn't have like a personal story about it, like most people are at least aware of it, especially when you're coming from like POC communities.
Obviously, I'm very aware of it because this is like one of you and I's most talked about topic.
Yeah, it's the reason why I think it's one of the reasons why we started our initial blog in the first place, just because I want to talk about the certain differences that people of darker skin are treated within their own communities. So me growing up, like I have a lot of stories about me being treated differently from other cousins who are considered lighter. Like they'll say, like they'll just go up and tell you, like you're not as pretty as like someone who's like lighter skinned, and it it starts when you're young. So if you don't have people in your corner who are constantly saying that like you're beautiful just the way you are, you will grow up with like a lower self-esteem.
I'm here trying to pull up actually like one of our first posts.
Mm. Yeah, and I just thought this book was really important, just for little girls to read and know that like you can be beautiful just the way you are. You don't have to change yourself.
So you and I actually started our blog in January of 2013. This feels so long ago.
Well, it's like almost 7 years ago, right? We're different part of our lives back then. That was like university.
Yep, our third year.
Mm. Did you think back then that we would be getting content like this released into the mainstream media?
Okay, so like, here's the thing. I always like it's obviously inevitable that like you're gonna have books. It's just gonna be harder to get to it. What really like put things into perspective for me was that new show on Netflix, Bookmarks, where it's all those celebrities reading these kind of books for kids. I'm like, this is great. This is like reading Rainbow all over again. That's like it's showing the kids books that they can identify within. And they're like current books. It's not like, oh, those books are old. Those are from when you were a baby.
It's great that kids nowadays can have that representation. Like
Exactly.
they'll be able to see themselves in these type of stories for sure. Whereas like when I was growing up, I didn't necessarily have this. I don't even remember if I ever saw any book where like the character wasn't like
I'm trying
white.
to think if you had any books like that.
Not in the main, like whatever was taught in school, like it wasn't anything like this. If I were to find like a story about like a POC character, I would have had to like go to the library on my own and sort of just spend the time to research it.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like I spent so much time in the library.
And I think part of the success.
Hey, Magma.
Hi, Magma. I think part of the success of the book is because of the author too, because of the popularity of Lupita Nyong'o, who I actually adore her, by the way. I love her. She's like my woman crush always.
She's a Mexican-born Kenyan queen.
Yeah, and there's a little end note at the end of the story where she talks about her personal experiences, which I to be honest, I was so shocked that it was to the extent that she wished that she had lighter skin, that she had like she was almost on the verge of like buying a bleaching cream at one point too, and I'm like, wow, like even someone like that who is obviously so like aesthetically beautiful can feel that way.
She didn't see her beauty herself until she was older, which actually happens a lot. I'm seeing like from like our blog and everything and watching like what other people are saying, a lot of people are like they're not seeing their beauty until like they're 20 years old. But like as a
Sometimes,
as a parent or as like a figure in children's lives, you need to instill that in them. Don't just be like, oh, you're pretty because you're light. Like you have to like tell them they're pretty for more than that. Like don't
yeah.
don't just say like, oh, you have pretty eyes because they're colored. Like brown eyes are beautiful too.
But also, in addition to just calling your child pretty, you should also highlight
And
the other
their
aspects
intelligence
of
and stuff.
their
Yeah,
intelligence, other
because everything costs
personality qualities.
superficial.
Yeah, because at
Beauty
the day, yes,
fades.
like telling
Stupid
your
doesn't.
children is that they're beautiful is important, but you also have to highlight the other facts of who they are too, which are
Hmm.
actually more important to who they are as people than just beauty.
And you need to encourage more than just one facet of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So all because they're good at like let's say they're good at school, like don't push that on them like everything that you're proud of them is because of school or like everything positive is school or like everything positive is just like looks. You have to like see their strengths in different areas and like acknowledge that so they can acknowledge it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sadly, more often than not, a lot of parents just don't do that for their kids, and I'm not sure if it's because they're not paying attention or they just don't see the value in like telling their kids that they're beautiful. But like
I
I
think
know.
it's probably like, oh, you know it. I don't have to tell you,
Hmm.
but it's like sometimes you do. Because
Yeah, sometimes you do.
say you have
Like,
two kids and like one you're tending and nurturing the one more because you feel like they need it and the other doesn't need it as much. By
hmm.
that time, like the one who needs it, sorry, the one who you're saying doesn't need it is falling back and they actually need it.
Hmm.
Like you need to nurture both plants to have them grow.
Yeah,
Even though a cactus doesn't need much care, it still needs care.
it still needs care. I want to talk about the importance of like vocabulary and just like using words to describe how you're feeling. Just because I find that kids nowadays, when they're dealing with things like low self-esteem or depression or bullying, they don't have the specific words to deal with how to explain how they're feeling most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I didn't have a framework for how I was feeling until I learned about the word colorism. Because then once I learned that word, I was able to pinpoint certain things I was feeling back to this ideology about skin colors and how people
Or or don't
put
forget the other term, shadism. That's another
or
word.
shadism, yeah. And me not knowing those words, I had no way of explaining to people just specifically how I was feeling when I was a little kid growing up. But it wasn't until I watched this documentary called Shadism, and it was by like a Sri Lankan Tamil journalist who I was going to school with at that time, that I actually had the framework to understand like this is what's happening. This is what's happening to me. And I can also recognize the fact that it's not just me who's going through this, it's other people who are also going through this at the same time. So it gives you that effect of like community as well, like we're all in this together. But me as a child, I didn't know anything about these words, and I feel like that negatively impacted me because I wasn't able to explain how I was feeling.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like it's not talked about. It's well known that like obviously there's favor over one,
Hmm.
but it's never talked about openly like straight out, yeah, we don't like these shades or the word's not given to you like, oh yeah, shadism is a thing, colorism is a thing. And like it's sad when it happens within families. Is
Yeah, and
yes, Greg.
and I don't
Shadism
want
and
to.
colorism are interchangeable word.
It's interchangeable. But what was I gonna say? I don't want to like completely lambaste our parents, because I find that it's
You
just like
don't
into
know any
like
better.
they don't know any better. It's essentially just them passing down their trauma onto us, their way of thinking. And I don't think they have the what is it? The awareness to know what they're doing most of the time.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of any like stories that I would have had that could be like applied. Cause like I think I'm in like a precarious spot in that one parent is light and one parent is dark, but both parents are mixed. So it's like, yeah, my dad is white passing, but especially it would be different if he was born and raised here in Canada. But being like from the Caribbean, where, as I said, the majority of people are like darker skinned or like just more black presenting, he felt like that's what he wanted. He wanted to be black because people would just say, "Oh, he's white, he's white, he's white." And even like at work here in Canada, the white people around him, they don't like they just talk their racist talk because they just think he's
Oh,
one of them.
oh wow. That's just ignorance on another level, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with me personally, like I have one parent who is considerably lighter than the
The
other. Like my mom is a lot lighter than my dad, so
Yeah.
we're all like different skin tones. I have two older brothers, and I am the darkest one out of the three. And
And
I
you're the
feel like,
girl.
and I'm the girl too.
So that's
So
not that's something in itself.
yeah, that's another thing itself. And I feel like there's also it changes the way that people treat you and talk to you, like say things to your face. Like I think I told you this once before. I was sitting in a car with my mom's older sisters, and we were outside a sari store just waiting for my mom to come out, and there were these two ladies who walked out of the store, and they were darker than me. Their skin was almost
This happened
like
in Scarborough, right?
this happened in Scarborough. Like their skin was all like a lot darker than mine.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt pointed to them and said, "At least your skin is not like theirs." Like it's a bad thing to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like with darker skin tones, like there's so many negative connotations. Like like there's this equivalency to like masculinity too.
Well, that's taken back to like slavery.
Hmm. Or you could have like two girls who look the same aesthetically, like their features are the same, but one is a lot lighter and the one is a lot darker. But because the other one is a lot lighter, she'll automatically be considered more pretty.
Considered prettier.
Like that's the desirable that's the desirable one, and it
That
it
and
trickles down.
the colored eyes too.
Colored eyes too, lighter hair, lighter colored eyes. Like it
I know
trickles
like
down into a lot of things too. It can have an effect on like if you get married, how desirable you are to like other people who you might consider a match. There's also like an issue of like in our within our community itself, there's an issue of like caste as well, because more often than not, like people who are at the bottom of the caste system are like darker skin, and then the
yeah.
people at the top are lighter.
Mhm. I know like within like the Caribbean community and like black people in general, they like the light skin, the straight curly hair, and colored eyes. So my dad said that when he was like a young man, all the girls wanted him. They were always like trying to run their hands through his curls, and he has like greenish hazel eyes, so they loved that. Obviously, skin pale, but it's like he himself, yeah, he saw that, but it's like he just wanted to identify more with his black side. because obviously, like, he's raised by a black woman, his black family. Same with my mom. Like, both my parents are raised by their black sides. That's all they know. They don't know the other culture.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying your dad was kind of like the unicorn,
I guess you could say
right?
that. But
Right.
then, like, he came to Canada where he became, instead of the minority, he is a part of the visual majority, even though technically he's a minority.
Mm-hmm. So I think within our community, most people want to be that unicorn. They want to be in that position where like they're different from everyone else because then they think that like they're at an elevated status. Yeah, that like lighter, like they think that they're like an elevated status. So you have people like trying to do the most to get to that skin color too, like bleaching creams. Um, I'm sure like I told you the story already where like my mom when she was pregnant with me, she would eat like a specific type of leaf and like a specific type of milk to ensure like the color of her child would be a lot lighter. And it's like a
It
common
didn't
cultural
work.
thing. It didn't work at all. You can't beat genetics. But I'm trying to explain that like that's the extent that people go to in order to ensure likeness within the family and within themselves. And like yes, bleaching creams, fairness creams are like such a um big like trend in our culture. Like it's almost like a multi-million dollar industry.
That's like, I had told you I was looking back at our Tumblr, and I see we had posted a thing saying Fair and Lovely, new, bleach the Indian away.
Yeah, bleach the ethnicity away.
Yeah, it's true.
As if being Indian is something to be looked down upon.
Yep.
Can I
Sometimes they
just say
don't
that
want to. Huh?
Fair and Lovely is owned by Unilever, which also does like
What's the
Dove and Axe
axe?
in North America. And when Dove was doing its "Be True to Yourself, Love Yourself" campaign, I thought it was so hypocritical when they're like the biggest proponent of bleaching creams
Well,
in
not
South Asia.
Dove, their mother company. So the mother
Yeah,
company is a
other
huge
company.
hypocrite.
Yeah.
No, but it's amazing how people try to. It's true. Hold on. Let me highlight these things. They've been around for years and they won't go away. um,
It's
yeah, it's
never going
amazing
anywhere.
how people try to basically bleach their skin away to get to like my shade when I like as a child and like teenager I wanted to be darker.
Because you want to fit in with the people who are around you.
It's true.
Ugh,
Those are heavy
Little Kim,
bleachers.
Little Kim is something else.
Even down to the plastic surgery.
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted to fit in with the people around me, but like the thing is too that like I never felt like I belonged to any group because no group really wanted me.
Was there like a specific example or like an occasion that you feel comfortable talking about?
There's too many things. Like I don't know, people would just they'd be like, "Oh, you're not black, you're not white, you're gray." Like, what the hell is gray? I'm like, I
And
never said that I was white.
who were these comments coming from?
Like classmates,
Classmates? So like we're talking about like high school here?
elementary school was that one, like, grade 8.
Mm. Like for me specifically, like one thing that like constantly followed me around when I was growing up is that people within my family, instead of addressing me by my own name, uh, they would say Karapi, which means Blackie in Tamil. So when I saw it in this book, I'm like, I relate to this. I relate. I understand. My name is Sharanja, not Karapi.
Let me see what else. I would say like in high school, I guess like in high school and university, I just more felt like not accepted or I didn't belong. So like I wouldn't join the Afro Caribbean clubs or like I was friends with people in both cases in high school and university with people who were in these clubs, but I never felt comfortable joining the clubs because then there's other people inside clubs who I always felt like looked down on me or like judged or whatever. And I
Yeah.
think I remember at one point in high school, somebody had asked one of my friends, it's like, why do you hang out with her? Because I guess I wasn't black enough.
Oftentimes you'll find that people who say things like that are dealing with
Their own
issues of,
issues.
yeah, like own issues of low self-worth and esteem.
Or even like, remember in high school how they'd have like the black hallway? I would avoid that hallway at all costs.
Is it because of you not feeling comfortable walking in front of them? Because then I know which hallway you're talking about because they would like say comments, but
Yeah. Or like they just like stare you down. Like
mm,
you're not even free to mind your own business.
mm.
That's why I was so happy that we spent most of our lunches sitting in the hallway or sitting in the academic resource room eating our lunch. Like the friggin' nerds that we were.
Still are still nerds. This is our Sunday night, by the way.
However, I had sports on my side because I played rugby.
Yes, good job.
And then I
That
was
was clearly not me.
I was reminded of our music theater dork over here in The Wizard of Oz. Looked at my yearbook today. I mean,
No,
deep down,
that was
I am a music theater person, but I have a whole different story about music in high school, which is why I didn't
yeah.
join those extracurricular musics. Because music was always my one of my first and true passions, but it was ruined in high school. Or else you and I could have been in all these music things together.
That's a conversation for another day.
It
I
really is.
I want to say that this book reminded me of a I guess it's like a middle school novel that I read when I was in like grade 7 or 8, and it was called The Skin I'm In.
I'm in, yeah. I read that
Yeah.
one.
So it's a similar story to Sulwe in that the main character is bullied at school because of her skin color. And in order to combat her being bullied and her finding worth in herself and beauty in herself, one of her teachers advises her to read up on like slavery and to actually write stories, like write letters from the perspective of a slave. And so she, through her research, she's able to find out more about like her cultural and like biological history, um finding out like the story about like all these Africans who were taken on boats to slavery in North America, and they survived and they were able to like survive into freedom. Like it helped her find strength in who she was as a person because of like what her ancestors went through. And I feel like if more people just like read up on like their own history and maybe just like learn more about like colonialism, because colonialism has a huge impact on the topic of colorism. So I feel like if people just
Oh,
bother to learn the
definitely.
history, then maybe we wouldn't
People
be still talking about this today.
people need to here's the thing. People need to know about their own family histories. That's hugely important. So you know like who who came into your family, like what your family did, what they're known for, and it's also important for us to learn our cultural and country histories. So all of us who our parents immigrated to Canada, to the United States, like it's important that we learn about our different countries' histories. Because even though you might not feel connected, like you are connected. You're these people who came before you are your history.
They're your
And like,
history. They're the reason that you're here. That
yeah,
that you're able to be here today. What we're talking
People like
about,
to say like, oh, like slavery is a long time ago and all that, but the thing is, if those specific slaves did not survive and endure, you wouldn't be here. Because if just so much as one died, that's the end of that line.
but it's not even the fact that, like, okay, yes, slavery was a long time ago, but there were things that happened after slavery that
And they're still
continue
happening.
and are still happening, and like those those certain events, like in like the US, they had like, what was it, Jim Crow laws that lasted up until like the 50s, and it wasn't like it was like sunshine and rainbows afterwards either. There were things that happened because of slavery that have a deep impact in the way that like North America, US specifically, deals with people of color.
Yeah, because if you think about it, segregation was still a thing when a lot of our parents were born.
Hmm. Yeah,
Segregation did not end that long ago.
no, it would have ended like my dad was like what, born in 1953, so he was born like probably at the height of it.
Yeah, because I don't think it ended till like 1964, 5, 6, maybe.
Legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
then we have off of that whole like thing there's the whole like Tuskegee experiments and all those. Let's talk. No, not let's not even talk. Let me just mention Henrietta Lacks. Like that is a huge. That's a story in itself. With the whole taking her cells, and we're still using that in cancer research today.
mhm. Um, I want to mention that like so Sulwe is I want to say that I like this is aimed at like black like a black community, like it's a story for black girls, but people of all like people of all like POC communities can relate to this story, I feel.
Yeah.
But I just like I like that idea of just like writing stories for your own community, and then like it's like things that you dealt with growing up, and a girl behind you who's growing up and dealing with the same issues can also deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Like this book is aimed towards ages 4 to 8, but I think that as long as you have a child who will sit down and like their attention spans there, start reading this to them at age 2, 3 years old, because then they'll start to like get that ingrained into them and find like their own self-worth. And obviously, even if you're older than 8, you might love this book. I'm 27 and I love this book.
Yeah, no, yeah,
You're
I have
almost 29 and I know you like this book.
yeah, in 2 weeks. Um, yeah, I love this book because of the art. Like forefront, the art just killed it for me. Um, I want to say something else. Yes, like all communities of color can relate to colorism, but this idea of colorism is rooted in anti-blackness, and there are a lot of like I'm going to speak as like a South Asian because I'm part of that community, but there are a lot of South Asians out there who are steeped in anti-blackness, and the fact that like you calling someone dark, it automatically associates with you calling them black, as in like you look like a black person. And for a lot of people in this community, it's an insult, right?
Yeah, like didn't you tell me a story before about going outside in the summertime?
Oh yeah. So when I was younger, a lot of my aunts and like my mom and dad would be like, "Don't spend too much time outside because you're gonna look too black. Like, don't play outside for too long. You're gonna look too black." Like it would be a thing that would be said on repeat. But like,
I feel like I don't know if it's just because I was a naive child and I didn't realize, but or if I don't, I will tell you the story and you tell me how you're reading it. So as a child, like obviously when I'd go to the Caribbean for vacation, obviously in Canada we're mostly winter. Even when it's not winter, it feels like winter sometimes. So, and I love the beach. So when we go to the Caribbean, I would spend all my time outside, all my time swimming. And obviously when you're in the salt water, and then you'll get tan more. So all my family always say like, "Oh, she a tar baby. Her skin gonna be bun up. She's gonna get dark." But me as a child, I thought that was a good thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm a tar baby. But like now looking back at it, maybe like they didn't want, like they're saying like, "Oh, take her out the sun. Like don't let her get too much sun," because that's another thing. Like going down there, everybody's like, "Oh, like her skin's so nice. Her skin's so clear. Like, oh, she looks like she could be a Spanish girl." I'm like, "Oh, is she from Santo Domingo? Like from Dominican?"
So for us, anytime you get like a person who's lighter skin and they're like very beautiful, a lot of times people will say like, "Oh, you look Indian, like like North Indian. You look Indian, like you look good."
I feel like your mom has told me that before.
Just 1 second. Hold on, Anika.
I'm all alone. Okay, people, whoever's there, tell me some things in the chat. How's everybody doing this fine Sunday? Have any of your own personal colorism stories?
I mean, if anyone wants to jump in with like a specific story that they feel comfortable talking about, like feel
That's
free.
what I just said. But yeah, as I was telling you, I feel like your mom has told me that before, like how I'm so pretty and my skin is like.
Did I tell you the first time I showed her I showed her your picture? She asked me like
in high school?
yeah, I showed her one of our yearbook photos, and she said like, "Oh, she's pretty. Is she Indian?" Like, "No, mom, she's not.
Yes.
She's not Indian."
1/4.
1/4. She's got it, and at that time I didn't even know about your one of your
1/4
grandparents.
is showing the most. Even though technically, if you look at my genetic test, I'm mostly white, but I don't look mostly white, or maybe I just not seeing it.
You got that ethnic coming out of you, but one day I will. Is that Gregory?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Greg, don't talk to that person anymore. That's not your friend.
You hear that, Greg? Don't talk to that person anymore. That's not your friend. It's me. Let's see, what other stories are there? In high school, I had people argue with me and tell me to my face that I'm not black. Like if they know my life, or my mother, or my father, or anybody.
I remember the specific person. So I was in science class, and then there were these two girls, and one of them was like biracial, like her mom was white and her dad was black, and then the other one was
Hold
like
on. No, keep going.
and the other one was she was like she was darker, and like I think both her parents were black, and she was like from she was from like the Caribbean somewhere, and the Caribbean girl was like to the other girl like, "You're not black," in front of everyone in our class.
The Caribbean,
She's
the
like,
one with
"But
the
you're not really
Caribbean
black."
parents told the biracial one, "You're not black." The Caribbean, the one whose parents are from the Caribbean, told the biracial one, "You're not black."
Mm-hmm. But you're not really black. And the other one was about to explode on her for that. Also, the fact that they were just talking about this so loud in class too that everyone could hear.
I feel like it's all about how someone identifies.
Yeah, you can't tell someone
like that.
how
That's
to identify.
you can't tell them like you're not.
Do you remember that dance showcase that we went to like 1 or 2 years ago? Shades?
I think I
Do you
have
remember
the thing for it somewhere here.
Do you remember there was like a key part in the dance where the dancers gave each other names?
Yeah.
And I thought that was like important because when you're growing up, it's society that tells you how to identify, basically.
Yeah.
Like you don't often get the chance to tell people how you identify. It's like society labeling you how they see you. I never watched the Dave Chappelle show.
Me neither, but Greg always trying to get me to watch it. Not always, but he's surprised I don't watch it. I tried
mean,
watching Dave Chappelle on Netflix, and I'm just like, it's not funny.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I liked his stand up on Netflix, like the most recent one he released. But I just don't have it in me to watch the show for some reason.
Even though when we were in high school, that was like a big thing, the Dave Chappelle show.
Really,
I feel like it was.
it's a big thing in general. It's like a pop culture. It's a pop culture like phenomenon, kind of like. It's just that I haven't had the chance to watch it yet.
Let me see, what other color stories are there? Oh yeah, as you're saying, like it's about like what people tell you. So it's like if a group of people tell you enough, if a group of people tell you enough that you are something, that you're just gonna start believing that. So it's like if you're a child and you're told all the time you're stupid, you're dumb, you're an idiot, you're gonna grow up thinking like that's true and it's gonna like manifest itself. So somebody, whether your parents, your family, your friends, keep saying like you're dark, you're black, you're ugly, and keep having everything dark as a negative connotation, you're gonna take that as negative. That's gonna affect your self-esteem.
Yep, that's why kids need a lot of positive affirmation in order to, become positive thinking, like upstanding adults.
Also, don't associate. Okay, disclaimer: I do call strangers by this, but us, it's different. Anyways, continue. Don't be calling people by like food names and stuff. Don't associate their color of their skin to food.
Yeah. Also, it's good to ask people permission before you call them something other than their name. Like, let's get that out of the way. But yeah, I can call her whatever I want because she knows I'm coming from a place of love. But if you don't have that relationship with someone, don't assume that you can just give them a random nickname.
Yeah.
Like I have like a very ethnic name, so when I was growing up, even like not even growing up, like in my workplace now, like I often have people who try to shorten my name to something um English sounding, like so my name is Sharanja, so they'll say, "Can I call you Shara or Shar?" And I'm like, "Nope, that's not my name." So you can try to say my name as I've called myself all these years, like say my name. And yeah,
Except when she goes to Starbucks. When she goes to Starbucks, her name is strictly Sarah.
yeah, you don't have to call me out like that, but but that is just for ease, and also I just don't want to tell random people what my name is when I'm just trying to get coffee. But
I needed
yeah,
Starbucks name. Wait, my
yeah.
Starbucks
So
name is America.
good job, good job. Oh, let's talk about like colorism in like comic books. Um, like my biggest example at the top of my head is Storm, and
Don't talk about my storm like that.
may I have permission to speak about your Storm?
Not if it's anything negative.
It's not. It would never be negative. I would never, ever, ever discuss Storm in a negative way. But I just want to make a mention that in the comics and just like in cartoons in general, whenever you see Storm, she's like darker skinned. But when casting calls for movies come about, who do you typically see playing her?
Alexander.
In X-Men, like the original X-Men movie, it was Halle Berry, who's
Yeah, so
biracial.
in both cases, using biracial women.
In both cases, they've used biracial women when I feel that, like,
Storm is she is an African goddess.
she's an
One parent
African goddess.
is African, the other parent is African American.
And part of the allure is the way she looks. Like, how often do you see someone like Storm who has like such a powerful presence in comic book stories? Not often. Sunspot.
I was gonna say. So I was reading one of the not older, but like not recent X-Men, and like when I when I was reading it, I had to like take a picture and send it to Greg. I'm like, Greg, the art of Storm in this is amazing. Like they don't make her look like black like this, or not just like light. Like the coloring is just on point. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up for you.
Also pull up the illustrator too, because sometimes the illustrator has a big impact.
Oh, definitely. Hold on, I need to find like her face or something. This is probably not even going to be a good example, but nah, it's not going to come up looking good. But the artist is Will Conrad.
Well, Conrad.
Also, I'd like to make mention of Alex Ross's recent timeless covers. Black Panther and Storm's coming out, I think, this week. Black Panther and Falcon have been in the past, and his timeless covers are impeccable. As well as, can I give some honorable mention to our Toronto artist, Jamal Campbell, for his work on Fire Sector. She'd be looking amazing in every issue, just mesmerizing.
Anika, is that story really good? Like, would you recommend like someone like me who doesn't really like superhero stories?
Right in the comments, like tell her that it's not just me that likes this.
Okay, like I'm not someone who's supremely into like superhero stories. Like if I'm gonna read a comic book, it most likely will not be
murder mystery type of thing.
Okay.
So let me tell you, I had Greg read the first issue, and then he's doing his GG3, so he's been reading a lot. But he wanted to read all 7 issues in time for Sean and I's stream that was a few days ago. So when Greg got to the 7th issue, he's like, "What? That's how it ends? I need more." He wants more, Sharanja.
Okay. Who did they cast in the movie? Hold on. Let's see.
I haven't even seen that movie because I hear it's not good.
I wanted to see that movie too.
Also, Far Sector's great. You heard it here. It's not just my biased opinion.
I mean, I'll check it out.
Obviously, and for my birthday, you read Naomi, so
yeah, I gobbled that up. I love that. I love Naomi. I haven't read the second volume yet, though, but the first one was
no second volume. That's it.
Oh, they're not doing more stories?
I don't. Well, if they are, it hasn't come out.
That's lame. Wow, they really tried. Oh, wow.
Wait, now I need to see this.
Wow, that's so. I can't believe they thought they could get away with that.
How come I haven't heard anything about it? This is the first time that I'm hearing.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people went to see this movie. I think it was already a silly decision to release it now with like COVID and everything, but to have like a brand new movie playing in the theaters right now where no one really wants to go see a movie right now, it's so silly.
Oh, leave for true. That's the man who's supposed to be him.
That's the man who is him.
I see the Brazilian, but I don't see the Afro part. Okay.
And Brazilian,
We have
South Americans also deal with their own colorism in their own way.
Huh?
South Americans also deal with colorism in their own way.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I was hoping Josue would be
All
here
I see when I look at that is just like erasure.
Lending. I said I was hoping Josue would be here in the chat where he could lend a Hispanic view of things.
I mean, when all I see when I see this picture of like sunspot in the comics and then what who they casted for the movie, I'm just like, this is just erasure.
Let's see. What other characters of color do we have that would have like a colorism thing? Well, there's a whole like when characters are supposed to be Asian and then they cast a white person.
Give me an example of that because I don't know any off the top of my head.
Scarlett Johansson one. Was it Ghost in the Shell?
Oh my gosh, let's not talk about that because that movie was trash.
Let's talk about Avatar, The Last Airbender.
How about we not talk about that movie? Because not
you
only
want
was
to know
it like
some shadeism type of thing, so there's the shadeism type of things.
I'm just like, it wasn't even the fact that like he pretty much like whitewashed the whole movie, except the people of color he managed to
Indian, the Fire
like Patel played like the Fire Nation, Zuko. And I'm just like, so all the brown people in this movie are bad people.
Yep.
I'm just like,
which lends us back to dark equals evil, right?
I have like a Disney reference. I have a Disney reference, so think like Scar from Lion King versus Mufasa and Simba. Like, how is Scar colored in the movie versus how Simba and Mufasa are like colored?
I'm gonna say Princess Jasmine in the live action because she should have been darker.
She should have been a lot darker, in my opinion. Even though what's her name in who played her? Naomi
Watts or something.
It's not Naomi Watts. It's
It's the Power Ranger girl.
Naomi Scott.
And that's saying something because watching Power Rangers, I didn't even realize that she was supposed to be brown. I thought she was just a white girl.
So I knew she was like
mixed.
I knew she was like part Indian because of Terra Nova. She was on this show called Terra Nova, like, back in the day. So she has she's like part Indian and then part white. But I personally do see like the Indian in her, but I feel like for Jasmine, who is such like a big image, like she's a big image for like brown girls in our community. That's the only princess that we have that kind of looks like us. And and then to just like cast this actress who is biracial and a lot lighter than the majority of the people who look up to this character in that role. I feel like that was just a letdown all the way through. It was a silly casting choice, apart from other things that went wrong in that movie.
You know you love that movie.
I liked it. I wouldn't say I love the movie. I would say I liked it for Will Smith.
And the song.
Other than that, no.
You were singing the songs.
I will always sing that song whenever I hear it. It will not matter when I hear it. I will sing the song. But that movie was just not it for me. And so I think that was just a letdown. I feel like they could have casted like a beautiful, like darker skin, Middle Eastern, South Asian woman, and then it would have been a done deal like that. But
that's how I felt when I heard the possible casting choices for Storm in the next movie. I mean,
I like
Beyonce, but no. I mean,
Who?
I like Janelle Monáe, but no.
I like Janelle Monáe.
I like her, but not for Storm.
I mean, as long as they get someone who can actually act, that's key. I mean, at least with like Halle Berry, like she knows how to act. She doesn't look like Storm, but like she knows how to act.
I heard somebody say this girl. I don't know if it's pronounced Yatide or Yatide, but Yatide Badaki. She plays Chi Chi on This Is Us and Bill Cleese on American Gods. She would be a good Storm.
How
I
about
approve that message.
why not try casting like an older actress too? Or how about like Gabrielle Union?
Mm-mm.
No.
I feel like
This is
what's
perfect.
best is to cast somebody who's not already like well known.
Like give someone an opportunity.
Yeah,
But how
because the movie's gonna make money regardless. So
but do you think these studios are gonna risk just casting someone who's a complete newcomer to acting?
this girl's not a complete newcomer.
She's not a known face though.
She has 25.4K followers on Instagram. She is
Yeah,
verified.
she's from American Gods.
And This Is Us. Think about it. God rest his soul, Chadwick Boseman. Before he was Black Panther, yeah, he had stuff under his belt, but he wasn't known the way he's known. Or look at Chris Hemsworth. When he became Thor, nobody knew him.
Nobody knew him.
Oh, watch him
Nobody knew him.
now.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not against it.
Let's see. What else? Mm, where's my book? I lost my book. Oh,
It's right beside you.
it was behind me. Mm. So yes, the folk. This okay. So this story kind of reminds me of like what's the old it's like this African folk story with the sun. Is it
The Sun and Night.
or what's that? What's that story? Children of bone and of blood and bone.
Yeah, Children of Blood and Bone or Bone
But
and
like,
Blood.
what's that based on?
Oh, but inspired by Nigerian mythology.
The legacy of Orisha.
Orisha.
Yeah.
Orisha.
Orisha. So let's see, what exactly is Orisha?
She's a deity.
Um, she is spirits sent of Olodumare for the guidance of all creation and of humanity in particular on how to live and be successful on Ai, which is Earth. Most Orisa are said to have previously existed in the spirit world, Orun, as Irumole, and then become incarnated as human beings here on Earth. Okay, maybe it's a miss. I was thinking of something different.
I do feel like I've heard this story before, though. I just don't remember where specifically, but I feel like it's a beautiful story to have within the book.
Yeah, because it's also like when reading this, I'm assuming that the the story is based in Africa. So
Mhm.
it makes sense for this folk story to be taught to her, to be told to her.
And I feel like having it
Like
still
it's a cultural book within like a cultural
mhm.
sense.
And feel like having it told in the form of a fairy tale hits pretty well for kids too, because how do most kids learn like morals and just like retain information? You gotta tell it to them in the form of a story.
I like how Day has braids.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to say. These pictures are just like phenomenally gorgeous. Like I want to have every page framed.
And like as I said, like everything is based in culture. Like Sulwe has the little TWA, the teeny weeny afro. Her mom has, I don't know if they're single braids or dreads. The dad's hair is like cut low on the sides with a little on top, and then sister's is in either braids or twists. Like they differ with the hairstyles, which is nice too. That none of them are just like given straight hair, or they all have individual hairstyles. They're showing like the village people, which puts
Well,
the story more.
I have another example of colorism in the media. Um, so I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember like when that adaptation of the like Nina Simone's story was coming out, and they casted Zoe Saldana in the main role as Nina Simone?
Mm-hmm.
When I don't think Zoe Saldana is African American. I think um she's like from somewhere in the South, but South America. But there was an uproar because you have this non-African American actress playing this woman who is, she was a proud black woman, and they picked this actress who doesn't necessarily have that connection towards her, only because I guess she's like a settled Hollywood name, but they literally overlooked these other actresses who could have done, in my opinion, a better job acting wise in order
Well,
for Zoe Saldana, who
that's like how they what was it? Wasn't the actress for Harriet Tubman like British, and like that was an
she's
uproar in
British.
itself.
Yeah,
But like
but
the thing is, in my opinion, British actors are a better like batch of actors. Like they're just better actors because when you think about it, like what's that popular light skinned
but
actress that can like
Zoe Saldana's not British.
no, I'm saying in the case of Harriet.
Of Cynthia Erivo. There was other controversy with Cynthia Erivo being cast in that role, and it wasn't just because she was British. It was because of certain comments she had made online about African American women being like ghetto and whatnot. She had made these comments online, which caused part of that uproar. But
Oh, so Saldana's father is Dominican and Haitian, so she black.
what's her mother? But like the issue was the fact that like she's not African American.
She was born in America.
Then I don't understand what the controversy was. But maybe it's like
She was
it
born
goes back
in
to like
New Jersey.
colorism too. Maybe it was because of colorism and the fact that like she had to actually darken her skin for the role. Like they had to
Probably
put
that.
like foundation on her to make her look darker. And to be honest, like you didn't have to do that when you could have just gotten like a darker skin actress to play that role.
Because you know who
And
I think would be perfect for that role? British actress Michaela Cohen.
Kayla Cohen?
Kayla.
Oh.
Michaela Coel. Coel. She looks like Nina Simone.
Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of actresses out there who could have pulled this role off in a better, like, and have like, and had it been like made a better movie. But I feel like part of this movie failed because of like Zoe Saldana.
I have even seen the movie. That's how.
You don't have to watch the movie. Watch the documentary on Netflix. It's actually 10 times better. I recommend it. Seriously.
Or let me see. What's another example? So we said the Storm, like Alexandra Shipp, Storm.
I mean, the
Ghost in the
thing is,
Shell.
like, with Storm though, like, you have to get that casting right.
That's the thing, because she's such a well-loved character.
She's beloved, and as one of the oldest like female characters of color in comics, especially like a black female character of like black female character in comics, like you need to get that right. You can't mess that up.
Well, I guess they feel like money's money and money will be made.
I mean, I don't think it worked that well for X-Men First Class, and yeah, Viola Davis would have been amazing as Nina Simone.
Viola is a great actress.
She's a beast. She is a beast. But
like,
I feel like she gets
so much too.
I feel like she gets overlooked a lot for roles because of like her skin color.
She had said that people said that she's the
Black Meryl Streep.
She's a black Meryl Streep, but then it's like, then why aren't you giving her roles like that? Why aren't you paying her value?
Mm-hmm. It goes back to that thing of like intersectionality. That like, yeah, we're all women and we all have like issues that we have to deal with together, but there are certain issues that like white women or like South Asian women do not go through the same way that like black women go through.
So sad. And the thing is, like, how do we do better? How do we change? Like, we're in our 20s. Like, we are the people who would be, if there's going to be change, it is us who has to make the change. So how do we do that?
Well, we do that by supporting books like this and talking about them and getting our kids to read these books. Also, just encouraging representation in media overall, especially in young children's media. Even like a few years ago when Black Panther came out, that was like a crazy thing in the culture when it first came out, right? The number of people who went to go see it, the number of people who made it into like a family outing or
When
like a
Black Panther came out, I told Greg, I'm like, Gregory, no matter how this movie goes, we're coming out of this telling people it was the best movie ever, because we need to support Black people and Black film. Because if we say it's the best movie ever, it'll make people go and watch it.
Oh my gosh. You know what you're reminding me of? So I have like an Asian friend, and I was pretty much telling her the same thing about Mulan. Like no matter what, we're going into this movie and supporting like Asian people, and when we come out, we're just gonna tell people it's a good movie and that's it.
I watched Mulan, by the way.
Yeah, and what did you think?
You just have to take a step back and not compare it to the animated one. It's good for its own story.
Ooh. Let's agree to disagree. I feel like I feel like there was no joy. Like there was everything that made Mulan. This thing was lacking completely, and also the fact that they didn't have Mushu, and Mushu was the magic in Mulan, the animated movie. So the fact that he wasn't in this movie, there was no comedic relief. I'm sorry
Because I
that
don't like that. I think okay, the thing with all of these Disney remakes is that if you're going to have your kids watch them, you need to have them watch the live action first. So like they'll be, oh, I like that movie or I don't like that movie. So like if say they like that movie, then you show them the animated one and it's like I like this movie too. Because if you show the animated one and like you love that movie and everything, then you're gonna be comparing the other ones to that.
Yeah, just naturally out of habit. I just thought that this Mulan movie didn't do it for me, but to be honest, a lot of these Disney live action remakes, especially within like the past 2 years, have just sort of not for me.
My favorite live action ones that they're doing is the like Maleficent, where like they're giving those characters their own story.
Voice. Like they're gonna do the same with Cruella de Vil as well. I
Yeah,
think
like
what's her
doing
name?
all the Disney villains.
What's her name? Emma Stone, I
Mm-hmm.
believe,
Yeah,
is gonna play Cruella de Vil. I mean, I liked The Jungle Book. I thought The Jungle Book was a fun movie, and um,
I
Beauty and
like
the
that one
Beast
too.
was
Or even the non-Disney Jungle Book live action. That one, like,
the one that was on Netflix. Like it's a little bit darker in tone, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I just did not. I didn't really fall for Lion King, the live action, that much. It was a beautiful movie to watch, but there was just something missing. And with Mulan as well, like again, something was missing. The magic wasn't there.
And then we already know how you feel about Aladdin.
The magic wasn't there. It's not even Aladdin. I don't even want to call it Aladdin. It's
Or
just
what
like
about your favorite Disney one, Beauty and the Beast?
I liked Beauty and the Beast. I
Good,
didn't have
that's
a
your
problem with
favorite.
it. Yeah, I liked it. I The live action wasn't that bad for me. Like I liked it.
You see, at least you're able to get a live action. My childhood favorite, I they they can never make a
Don't
live
say it.
action.
Don't say it.
I don't
Don't
have
say
to say it.
it.
You already know.
I already know. Oh, but there is a live. It's not a live action Disney movie, but it is the live action movie about Pocahontas.
Like
It's
the real
New
story.
World. It's the real story. It's called The New World, and it stars. I can't say her name for the life of me, but it stars Colin Firth. No, Colin Firth. No, not no no. One of the Collins, Irish Colin.
The New World.
Colin Colin Farrell and okay, I will pronounce this name as best as possible. Koryanka Kilcher. And she's
My other
actually like the
favorite,
age. Hmm.
my other favorites, I I guess they're kind of too new for them to remake. Would you
Hmm.
be Princess and the Frog and then Moana?
Oh, they'll definitely do Princess and the Frog within like the next couple of years, though. They will. They're not gonna. They're not gonna miss out on the opportunity to capitalize off that story.
Well, the thing is, what they did wrong to begin with was that she was a frog for the majority of the movie.
Mm,
We needed
yeah,
more
you
black
barely saw
girls.
her. And I was talking about this the other day. The fact that they didn't pair her with
A
like
black
a
guy.
like a black prince. I don't know what Naveen is in the movie. I think it's like Creole. Like
He's
feel free
racially
to like
ambiguous.
feel free to correct me, but like I feel like they missed out on an opportunity because that could have been like a great opportunity for them to like input like a black
Black
prince.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know that the way the media goes these days, that black and black don't mix?
Or the fact that like black boys can also be princesses. Not princesses. Black boys
Princes?
can be princesses too, but they can also be princes. Princes?
Princes?
Yes.
Princes.
I think, did I tell you like they're actually investing, they're actually in the middle of creating a story for their next black princess. It's gonna have more like African mythology though in it. Like she's actually gonna be from like the continent of Africa.
That's good.
Mm.
Because they need
I don't.
more.
It's still gonna be like a Disney-fied. It's gonna be
They
like a
need
Disney-fied.
more stories around the world.
But I have to say, like, we need more non-Disney stories about the world.
Well, the thing
Like, there
is,
should be.
a lot of other things do these stories. It's just people aren't into them.
We need to put more energy and effort into getting those stories into the light, basically.
Also, let's just make honorable mention for one of my favorite stories, and I know it's one of your favorite stories too. And if Greg is still in the chat, I know he liked this too. Prince of Egypt.
Yeah. Oh my
The
gosh.
Prince of Egypt. It's a Bible-based thing, but Prince of Egypt.
That movie was perfect.
The music,
It's so
the
inspiring.
story,
Animation.
the animation, like that was DreamWorks at their, I can't even say at their prime because DreamWorks is doing pretty good now too, but DreamWorks.
That was like DreamWorks in the 90s at its prime. And they also had like a sequel story to it too, like Joseph, King of Dreams, which is not as good as Prince of Egypt, but like it was a fun watch at the same time. But I love that story because that was the first time I ever saw like a fully brown cast of characters. It didn't hit me when I was younger, but I didn't realize until I was like older that like how remarkable that was.
Also, some honorable mention to the Brandy Cinderella.
Yeah, Brandy Cinderella was like classic. Classic. And the fact that like me as a child watching that movie,
towards Prince of Egypt, not Cinderella.
I'm like, Gregory kind of looks like he would have liked that Cinderella movie though.
Greg, have you ever watched that Cinderella movie? Because if not, I have it on VHS.
Greg, you should take time to watch it. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. The fact that like the whole cast was like multicultural, and the fact that like Cinderella's like Brandy's stepmother in the movie is like white, and then
the prince is like Filipino when he has like different
like
parents.
a black, like Whoopi Goldberg was his mom, and Victor, what's his name? Oh, Victor, I will find it out. Victor Garber was his father. Like it questioned it.
So. They clowned Aaron. He says they clowned Aaron because Greg and I this year we've been reading the Bible, like the whole Bible, and when we got to that part, he's like, that's not what happened. That's not what they said happened in Prince of Egypt. Because like in Prince of Egypt, they make Aaron like this lowly little sucker, and in reality, and like
he's
in
not
the Bible,
like that in the Bible. Oh, Bible, he had like, he was a bit more of an important person.
Yeah.
And there was also the story of like Joshua that they didn't have in the Prince of Egypt. Like Joshua, I don't think Joshua was there at all.
No.
Or the fact that like Prince of Egypt just ends right before Moses screws everything up. Didn't mention that. Just keep it on a high note.
All the good. They have to say all the positives, not the negatives.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I feel like it's the same way with like American history, how they like idolize and say like things about their forefathers and stuff. Mm-hmm. In the Bible, they like to paint a picture of like, oh, he was a great man, he's a great man, but he's a great man, but he had lots and lots of faults and sins, like David.
Mm-hmm.
David was a cheater. He committed adultery and killed people.
Listen, the Bible is on its own level of like brutality
That's
and
the thing with church. People like to say the Bible is boring or whatever, but if people were to actually read the Bible, it is quite the roller coaster of stories. Like the Bible,
quite.
all these stories that people watch on TV and in movies ain't have nothing on these Bible stories.
I
There's
told you how I did like Bible studies for like a few years when I was younger, right? So they had like children's stories for like Bible's children's stories, and they were illustrated, and like it's supposed to be for kids, but then some of the stories were just like Jezebel being stoned to death, or um like the stories about like adultery, or like the fact that like Samson and Delilah like seducing him and then like cutting his hair off. I'm like, that's not really for kids.
Sure, there's a lot of other stories in there. There was one where these sisters or something slept with their father. They drunkened him and slept with their father. Another one was this man didn't want to have children, so he had sex with her and spilled his seed on the ground.
And just like the mention of rape as like a punishment, or just like the consequence of a woman doing something
Yeah.
bad. Like what was it? It was Dinah. Dinah was the daughter of who? Noah, right?
I don't know. I don't think
Or
so.
Joseph? But like it was like Dinah going into town when she shouldn't have, and she was raped by a man, and then that story was framed like it was because Dinah went to town against the wishes of her brothers and her father that she got raped, and not the fact that like someone actually just attacked her. I feel like we're so off topic right now.
Or there's another story where like some people like messed with these guys' sister. Like I don't know if they raped her or they did something. So they just went in and killed everybody in the town, slaughtered them.
Always 90s biblical movies were just in a genre of their own.
That's probably why a lot of us 90s kids are terrible because they be taking the negative things from the Bible and doing it.
Anika, did I ever tell you how the way that I learned the Bible when I was younger? One of the things that they said that like the human race is like descended from the sons of Noah, right? And
Yeah, where he had like Jeff Jepheth something.
Jeff, I can't say
Yeah.
their name. And then
Oh,
Ham, and like
hold on.
my
1 second. You were saying about Dinah. She's the local Prince Shemix. It wasn't. It was before Noah because this happened in Genesis. So something to do with Jacob.
so she's Jacob's daughter.
It says. Um. Hold on. Let me just. Wait, I lost it. Genesis 30:21. So Genesis 30:20. Genesis 30:20. So yeah, Jacob's daughter. Jacob's daughter. So Joseph's sister.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah. So what my Bible teacher said was that all people who are of like African descent came from Ham, and Ham was the son who like disobeyed Noah, and and that was like back in the day like a justification for why like Africans were in slavery, because they were the children of Ham, and that's like why they're going through not even an obstacle, like like this suffering, because they're
Yeah.
his children. Like that used to be like the biblical explanation for slavery back in the day, like the reason to give it an okay.
Ham is the father of Canaan, and the descendants of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Also, you know how was it Abraham had two sons, one with his wife and one with his side piece, basically, his wife's handmaiden.
Mm-hmm.
So Christianity comes from his wife, and Islam comes from Ishmael, so his son with the other woman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting.
Because Abraham was promised that his descendants would be a great plenty of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happens that like his side piece, his bastard child, basically, is what Islam comes from.
That's how they try to justify
I don't know.
or explain it.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up talking about the Bible.
Yeah, we're so off topic. I feel bad for everyone who's still listening.
What happens when I'm with Greg?
Is Gregory still there?
Roll call. Gregory, if you're there, say I. Type faster.
That's shady. That's shady. He just disappeared. Gregory's supposed to be the president of the fan club.
You know, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be getting shirts. Hey, girl, I think we should. Yeah, I like the mask. I like the merchandise. Lovely. Very lovely.
Also, Sean, if you're still there, I talked to Sharanja, and you can be a part of our genius stream if you want.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Oh, there's Greg. And Greg too. You can be a part of the genius stream because I know that.
Let's stop it at Greg. Let's stop it at Greg.
Oh yeah, 4 is enough.
4 is enough.
It's gonna be 2 brown girls, 2 brown boys. Get it? Equal.
Yeah, I'm excited to reread Genius again. I haven't touched it in a while, but I remember I liked it so much the first time I read it.
You have the trade?
Girl, I still buy comic books. I just don't talk about them online.
No, but I mean, like, you have the trade or the individuals? Because Greg has my individuals.
I think I have the individuals, actually.
Oh, is this Bible book club? We got off topic, okay?
Yeah, we just got off topic. I'm so sorry. Yes, but if you can't find Genius, I put it in my Google Drive. Also, next. Wait, before. Oh. Next. I'm dying at that comment. Is this Bible book club?
TC's a little shit disturber all the time. Yeah, on the 27th, we're doing Pet, which she is a half Tamil, half Igbo writer.
She's half Malaysian, half Malaysian Tamil, half Igbo. I did some research on her. She's really cool. It's gonna be an interesting story.
I started reading it. It is pretty interesting so far. It's kind of weird.
I gotta check out that bootleg.
check the
bootleg.
Drive.
Check the drive.
And people, next time is the 27th. So Sharanja's birthday is the day before. It's the 26th. So make sure to spam her on the 26th.
Yay.
Turning 29.
Turning 29. Last year of my 20s.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic.
We're gonna make it a good one.
Hopefully it'll be a good one.
No more corona. Speak it into the universe.
No more corona. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll really appreciate the support.
Thank you for sitting here through our
Rambling. Shit talk.
rambling, going off topic.
Yeah. It really means a lot. Thank
Yes.
you guys.
Thank you for being here all the time. Well, this is only our second time, but thank you for being here both times.
Both times.
Both times.
Shout out to Greg and Sean, because those are like the two main people I always notice who are in this chat.
Our super fans. We gotta get you
Super
guys
fans.
super fan shirts or something.
Oh yeah, fellow Libra. Hey.
All you September people. Everybody knows Capricorn's the best. You know why we're the best? Because we start and finish the year off.
That's a nice story.
Thanks, Gregory.
Thank you, Gregory. So kind. Make sure you read Genius. Like, read it front to end. Thank you. Too kind.
Anyways, let's call this a day. I have, what's it called? I have Lovecraft Country to watch.
I'll ask you about that show offline.
Okay, we'll stay on because, hold on. Bye, people. Don't exit.